Hey, what's up guys? Kane here with XBLA Fans, and I'm going to be doing our 5 must-play Xbox One indie games monthly recap for July. Now, I'm starting off with No Man's Sky. Some of you are probably going to question this one right from the outset. Obviously, it's $49.99. It's from Hello Games. It is through the ID at Xbox program. One thing you're going to notice is that even when you're exploring the galaxy, it's kind of cool how dynamic the different planets are. This is the same planet I was just on a couple seconds ago, and it is already, just in the middle of a giant radiation storm. But the nice thing is you don't have to stay on a planet for too long if you decide you don't like it. You can just take off and explore the galaxy. And not only can you explore, planets and different systems, you can completely warp anywhere basically in the entire galaxy. Like I'm talking about, we can just go crazy into multiple different universes here, see tons of different things. It's a huge scale game. Obviously, a lot of the stuff's procedurally generated, and obviously it was a little bit oversold on its initial kind of pitch. But what we've been playing, we've been really enjoying. This is a game that's going to be great for people who like to play with friends, like to just kind of explore, like to kind of build, like to kind of harvest, If you're into that type of stuff, this is a game that's going to honestly really work well for you. If you've wanted to basically, explore the deepest reaches of space, and just kind of discover new, untold, uncharted lands, this is perfect for you. And eventually you might even find one you kind of like, and you can build a base up on it. And you can, build yourself storage units like I have here. You can, build yourself some other things. Like I have a little bit of a tiny little house there. I've got a refinery in that. It's just a cool game. It's got a lot going on with it. And we have a huge quick taste for this one. It's pretty in-depth. So if you're kind of interested in what you're seeing here, but you want to see more, there's space battles. There's, space economies. There's a lot going on with this game. It's too hard to show you too quickly. But eventually you'll find a planet that honestly starts to feel kind of beautiful. Ghost 1.0 is a really unique Metroidvania game that does a lot of things differently. You're going to play as Ghost, but Ghost is not the android per se. It's the mysterious kind of digital ghost that can leave its robot chassis and, take over other enemies and control other enemy robots and use the tools of the space station against itself. So you're going to be infiltrating the Nakamura space station. And there's a lot of upgrades, a lot of different power-ups, a lot of different weapons you're going to collect along the way. The gameplay is pretty tight and responsive, and you're going to see just enemies everywhere. Weapons reload constantly. You'll never really need to run out of ammo. And you can find different things to do different things unique ways. It's a really interesting game that does a lot of things right and can get pretty chaotic and hectic on the screen at times. There's an incredibly deep skill tree in this game, and you're going to be able to get skills for your Ghost Shell, for Boogan, for Jacker, the two characters that hire her to infiltrate this space station. You'll be able to get them for Ghost form as well as the space station itself. There's a lot of different upgrades that you're going to be able to use, and you can get all these skill trees. And the cool thing about the game is when you do beat it, you will be able to use all this stuff in your New Game Plus, which does a lot of things just really well. One aspect of the game that's actually really unique is the fact that when you do pick up the game after taking a break from playing it, no matter how long it has been, it will kind of just remind you where you left off. And it kind of does this cool thing where it kind of recaps what you've been doing and like what you've been playing, just so you can kind of remember. The game has a really good narrative. I don't want to spoil too much of it here, but there's a lot of weapon variety and a lot of cool things going on with this game, including these kind of unique things called geekies, which you'll see at the end of this clip, that just kind of take the game to a really unique spot. If you're looking for a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, Mothergunship is pretty perfect for that. I'm talking about a game that just has tons of pop-up advertisements on the screen here early on in the missions. I'm using early footage because I don't want to spoil anything here. There is a little bit of a story going on, but largely what you're going to do is this is kind of a, roguelike game. You're going to go in, you're going to collect different parts. You're going to be able to build your own loadout. Each mission, you can kind of pick what parts you want to go in with, and you can kind of just kind of optimize things that way. When you do complete a mission, you'll be able to take the parts that you've collected back, and you'll be able to take those out on next time you launch for a mission. Now, something that's really cool about that is because of the fact that you can, select what kind of parts you want, you're going to use these parts and you're going to build your own guns. That's largely the hook for this game, is you're going to come into this little system here and you can build anything you can imagine. You want to make something absolutely stupidly crazy, even if it makes no sense, like a spike ball launcher with a machine gun, go for it. As long as they can fit on the parts, you can make it work. So what I've got here is just an absolutely terrible gun, and I've got a hand, which I can just punch. It's not exactly a good setup, but you can do just about anything you want with this game, and that's what's really cool about it. Mothergunship comes to us from the creators of Towers of Gun. It's got bullet hell insanity, it's an FPS, it's got insane weapons, as you just saw one that I made really quickly, and they get even more crazy than this. This is just starting out. And you're gonna build something and just shoot everything you can. There's enemies all over the screen. It's completely randomized mayhem. There's huge bosses. There's giant fights. You can play with friends if you want, or, by yourself. And there's just hordes of enemies you're gonna need to take down. And you can kind of optimize your guns in a way that fits you and fits your playstyle. And you can just take on these enemies and just go absolutely insane with this game. It's really cool, and it's really, really unique, and it really takes that Tower of Guns formula that worked pretty well, to be honest. I enjoyed that game a lot, and it pushes it almost to like 11 here. So you're going to have just a lot more freedom to do what you want. There's secrets hidden throughout the levels. There's power-ups. There's various other things you're going to be able to get from killing these guys. When you kill them, you're also getting money periodically, and you're going to be able to use that to go into a store later on and change up your weapons and just kind of get something that fits your style a little bit better than what I have now. You're going to be able to power up your jump. You're going to be able to do a lot of things there. You want to just continue to add more guns on guns on guns. You can do that. So here I am now. These are two guns that actually make a little bit more sense here. And I'm going to keep making them even more ridiculous as I progress through this game in each level. So after each level, you'll be able to collect all the parts that you've collected and take them with you and be able to use those when you launch out again. I now have, what is this, 2 machine guns, a heavy blaster, this giant spike ball launcher, and another thing that's shooting saw blades. And we can just go absolutely crazy with these weapons. The enemies continue to get bigger, they continue to get more crazy. This is super early game footage here that I'm showing off. So you're going to see even more crazy stuff as you progress through this game. If you're into games like this with like kind of non-stop combat that are going to continue to get you to play over and over and over, this is a good game for you and it's worth checking out. I've had an absolute blast with what little bit I've gotten to play, and I know Zero's loved it as well. And there's a good bit of humor here, and each time, like I said, you'll get something to reward you every time you complete a mission. So you're never starting off just flat out. Now, Warhammer Vermintide 2 is a fantastic game, and probably one of the most high-end feeling indie games you'll ever really see. This is actually out on Xbox One Game Pass as well, and you'll be able to play this through that if you have a Game Pass subscription. And it's a really hectic game. The levels can be pretty beautiful. There's a lot of variety you're going to see in the different enemies, and you get to play as 5 different characters here. Right now I'm playing as kind of like this knight in a sense. He's got like a sword. A little bit more of a tank, it feels like. Not as much so as maybe the dwarf, but he's got some decent benefits here. Like I can go charge right into people if I want. I've got this big kind of sword, and I've got that blunderbuss. Each character plays a little bit differently. So you got a mage, you got the archer kind of stealthy chick, and there's some other various things that are just pretty creative. And you're going to have to work together as a team as you play through this game. You're going to have to kind of take this Left 4 Dead style formula, and they just kind of bring it into this almost more D&D style space. And it's a really good mashup that works really well. If you happen to play the first one of these, it was a really good game, and this one just kind of expands on that and just makes it even more polished in a sense. So there's just a lot going on at any given time. You have the ability to play online with people, and you can also, play with bots. So There's a lot of cool things going on. You will have to pay attention and help out your teammates. This is not a game that you can kind of just completely ignore people and wander around on your own, because periodically you'll see an enemy like this and you're going to need to come save somebody. Now, 20XX. Is that how I say this? I don't even know. I have not figured out how we say this. Is it 2000XX? Well, we'll just go with that. We'll just go with that. But this game is pretty much the Mega Man game I've always kind of wanted, but didn't really think I'd ever get. And it takes kind of like a Mega Man style formula and pushes it into a really cool roguelike. And you'll be able to, you know, as you progress through things, get things that will allow you to kind of expand on your next playthrough. But you'll be playing through different levels, platforming, killing basic enemies. But then you'll also have these kind of crazy boss fights. And each of these boss fights, when you do defeat them, you will be able to kind of collect their weapon and be able to use that against enemies for the rest of the game. And that's really cool. There's a lot of things that are done well with this formula that just creates a really cool game, really cool atmosphere, and it's very responsive game. So this can be played full co-op. You can play with a friend over the internet or on couch, and that's a really nice touch that you don't see a lot of times in indie games especially, and it works pretty well. And honestly, it's just really, really fun. Like, it's not that crazy a concept. You kind of got to sit back and wonder why it hasn't been done before. Because every time you beat one of these bosses and you get their power, it just kind of works really well in this kind of Mega Man style format. And you can take that ability now and you can use it in the next level. And you can kind of just continue to pick which bosses you want to fight next and continue to progress through the game. And there's obviously different difficulties you can play on. It's one of those games that you could continue to play this for a good bit of time if it's something you're enjoying. And when you get those enemy power-ups, they can become really, really clutch, and you can use them in just some fantastic ways that'll help you beat segments of the game much quicker and much easier. The game also features some really good platforming, and the controls just work marvelously. And it creates this just really good experience that kind of mashes kind of a game that has a clear kind of inspiration from Mega Man into kind of a genre that you wouldn't have really expected it to kind of go to, and it works really well. And you end up with this just really fun, really enjoyable game, and it's pretty awesome. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. Please do like and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And please do share. We'd love to know what games you picked up in July and what games you've been enjoying. Please do share with us in the comments. And thank you guys again so much. Later.